Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of TV is Our Real Mom. I'm Dave,
I'm Katie.
and you are listening to this is a Westworld podcast, I guess. I don't know. We haven't podcasted in what, 3 episodes we missed?
Yeah, it got to a point where I just kind of wanted to see how it played out. So that's where we
So,
are now.
okay. Yeah. How many episodes did we actually podcast this season? Was
The
it like
last, it was,
we
I'd
did
say a good
3 episodes?
half.
We
Maybe,
did three episodes.
no, we did.
Four?
We probably did 4 or 5. The last one we talked about was the one where you found out Bernard was a host, and it seems like a lot has happened since then, which is true. So,
Yeah. Okay. Well, in this case, this is just an episode of TV is Our Real Mom about Westworld, where
yeah.
we're just going to kind of react to the finale, talk about the finale a little bit, and also sort of answer some questions, big questions from season one, from the beginning that we've had that sort of have been answered, and kind of just go over those to sort of bring us up to speed on
Yeah,
where
were
the
they
show is.
answered to our satisfaction?
Yeah, and just get us back up to speed where we're at going into season 2.
Which we have a long time to process season 1 because it's going to be a while before
What
season
was the
2.
release date that they came up with on that?
Well, it's not. It won't be until 2018. So.
Oh, I just read yesterday that they had a release date, but I didn't check what it was.
No, I would imagine they won't get a release date for some time. I read they're not even going to be shooting it until this summer.
Oh, okay. So that article was clickbait, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, you need to stay away from clickbait.
And also, it was probably just vague. It was we have a release date and it's 2018.
Yeah. No, that's usually what those articles they have the promise of some specific answer, and then it's just something you already knew. So
yeah, it works very well. Someone's getting rich off it.
On you, apparently.
I didn't click on it. I don't click on clickbait.
You didn't take the bait.
No, I read really fast when I'm scrolling through the feed. I'm just I see all these clickbait articles.
You're one of those fish that looks at the corn or the worm but doesn't go for it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Great analogy, Katie.
Well, the word bait is right there.
That's low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Low-hanging bait.
Indeed.
All right. Anyways, let's move on. What did you think of the finale, Katie?
Sorry, okay. I'm yawning. That's not what I thought of the finale. That's not what I thought of the finale. That was poor timing. I actually enjoyed the finale a lot, and I feel like everything kind of made sense. Not everything. A lot of things kind of made sense once you just sat back and watched the finale. And then at the end, I kind of felt like when Dolores was facing herself or whatever, and we'll talk to that. Mm-hmm. I mean, I understood what they were getting at, but I was like, okay, is that really how the season's going to end? But no, that's not how it ended. Then you had that huge thing at the gala, and that was kind of, even though I didn't see it coming, wasn't expecting it, that's what I wanted. And so
yeah,
I was
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more that that's not what I was expecting, but yeah, it's what you wanted. And it came out of nowhere, but it also didn't come out of nowhere because they kind of said it. They were building towards that sort of, Yeah,
there were all these mysteries all season long that they were obviously building in front of our faces, like the William and Man in Black thing. I mean, most people saw that coming by the time it was finally revealed. But then all along, there was this other mystery being built that we kind of saw, but no one saw that Ford all along was planning to liberate these hosts in the way that Arnold couldn't, because he didn't take the time to live with them for 35 years and work with them for 35 years so that they could achieve the consciousness, or Dolores could achieve the consciousness that set it all in motion.
Right. So let me make sure I'm getting this right. And this is the big question for me. So does Ford want them to be free? Basically,
yeah, he's revealed at the end that he did.
Yeah, ultimately, Ford does want the hosts to achieve consciousness and freedom, but yes. he saw a different path to that, or Arnold didn't understand the complexity that it would take to achieve that.
Well, I don't believe that Ford initially saw it. Arnold did.
Okay.
And Ford disagreed with him.
Right.
However, losing Arnold kind of showed Ford, he found William, but William didn't have the same kind of belief in what the hosts could be as Arnold did. And so the park became this thing that is not what he wanted it to be.
Sure.
Ford wanted it to be this place because he gives this whole big speech at the end about how stories have the power to change people. And that's what he wanted them to experience by coming to the park, was learning, taking morals from stories, learning lessons, being the hero. And what it turned into was just this parade of the basest part of humanity. That's what the park kind of became.
Yeah.
And he kind of became disgusted with that. And he was like, yeah, maybe these hosts are better than humans, and I should help them achieve that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he said something like, we tell lies to reveal deeper truths or something. That's what he said about stories. That's what he wanted.
Yeah. And
do.
I believe that's what he truly thought this place could be. And there were glimpses that maybe some humans saw it that way, but even William, who at the beginning, you kind of thought that he could be different and he could see what the potential of the world was. Even he turned into, the man in black, a villain.
Yeah.
So.
And so to achieve freedom, basically Ford, I think he tells Bernard that he's got a lot more to struggle through. Basically, he's got a lot more difficulty ahead. Is this basically just referring to the new narrative that he has set up, where the hosts are going to have to fight for their freedom, or what exactly is going on there? Did I misread that?
I mean, it must be. I mean, you have to assume that Bernard's going to be in charge now, because, well, in charge of what? I mean, the revolution has begun, right? Like, the board is pretty much dead.
Yeah.
But whatever organizational structure that this new world becomes, you'd imagine Bernard is somewhat at the head of it.
He's like kind of like the leader. Yeah.
Right. I mean, Dolores is like the Mockingjay, but Bernard is going to be like the what's another Hunger Games character? The what?
Figurehead?
No,
I don't know.
I mean, not a figurehead, the one who's actually doing things behind the scenes.
Right, yeah.
Like, Dolores is the symbol, and Bernard is
the Wizard of Oz.
Let's keep our stories together. I don't remember the Hunger Games. I was trying to think of somebody who was running the show on Hunger Games, but I can't think of it. Sorry.
Was it Woody Harrelson?
No, I think it was Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Was it Elizabeth Banks?
No, definitely not.
I'm just throwing names out there. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, that's okay. No, but anyway, Dolores is the symbol, and Bernard will, and they'll obviously work together, but I think Bernard will be the main guy of the hosts.
Right.
That's a better way to say that.
Do you think this whole storyline is kind of like a symbol for slavery? And I'm not just referring to like, African American slavery, but like all slavery throughout history. What's going on? The fight for freedom, when you earn freedom through fighting for it, when you earn your freedom and fight against your oppressors, I guess is the word. That's how you find like what it means to be human. I feel like that's sort of like there's something to that there. This fight is what's going to lead them to self-discovery.
In the past, the oppressors, the way they would use to justify slavery is by saying slaves are less than human.
Mm-hmm.
And whether that's a racial difference, a religious difference, a cultural difference, or in this case, what would you even call that?
I don't know.
Interior composition difference.
So racial.
Mechanical. difference.
Yep.
But now Arnold believed all along that they weren't less than human, and that's why he invented the maze. And Dolores got so close before the park even opened that he felt wrong about it, and it took the loss of Arnold for Ford to see that he was right. But yeah, I think all good stories where a revolution occurs have to do with the fight against the oppressors too. I think I lost the
Yeah.
thought.
I guess ultimately what I was saying is that I think part of what Ford and Arnold believe is required for these people to achieve true consciousness and freedom is a fight, like a fight for their freedom that they have to fight, and they have to make the decisions, and it's their own, they have to take a journey basically,
Right.
and
But
that
they can't take that journey until they become conscious,
yeah, I guess, yeah, I don't know, yeah, it's a little
And
confusing.
as we found out with Maeve, like she was programmed to escape. Like how were these like decommissioned hosts from cold storage? Were they programmed to do this, to start this revolution? Or did they all just happen to realize what was going on at the same time?
That is a question that I think we cannot answer yet.
So was that part of Ford's new narrative? Was that he was working with the dead hosts, getting them primed for this little uprising?
Well, I think before Ford died, he says that line of, Mozart and whoever, whatever composers, they believe that when they die, they become music. And in essence, he's saying that the art they left behind, the lasting, something beautiful that lasts, their music they left behind, that's how they live on, right? And so what he has set into action here, what he has set up, this revolution of the hosts, that's his new narrative, and that's his music, and that's how he lives on, basically.
So it seems to imply that these decommissioned hosts were programmed to revolt. And
Yeah.
Dolores, who has achieved consciousness on her own, can perhaps help them, teach them to achieve the same level of consciousness. But as far as the actions that were taken during the gala, I think those were
Okay.
delivered to them by Ford.
Right. And I agree. So that leads me to a question that hopefully maybe we can answer here. One of the biggest questions of the season. What is the maze?
A friggin' toy.
Oh, but it's so much deeper than that, isn't it? Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's not, because that's what a human would see, because it's not for the humans.
Right.
And that's what the man in black couldn't see. But when you look at it as what it means to Dolores, then yeah, it's more than a toy.
Yeah. Yeah, to me, it all comes down to what was at the center of the maze. And he basically said, oh, well, Bernard was talking to Dolores, and he said that what she's searching for, it wasn't him or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually herself, right?
Right.
So what he set her up on this gauntlet or this maze that she would have to go through and basically make decisions and sort of find her own way. And at the end, what he hoped she would find is herself, and she would hear herself, talk. She would hear her own voice, her inner
Mm-hmm.
voice.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what she was looking for. And that's what the maze was. It was something that Arnold put in place to help Dolores achieve consciousness. And apparently it happened because he tells her that she is alive.
Yeah,
So,
it didn't happen the first time, though. I mean, she didn't. It took her 35 years to actually achieve it.
right.
But she did at the end. See, I didn't get that at first, like exactly what that meant. Like when the camera panned around and she was looking at herself, I was like, really? Isn't that a little bit precious? Come on.
Yeah.
But
Well,
then I kind of figured out that this whole time the whole series, she thought she was following someone's orders, someone's directions, when really she finally comes to the realization that she had this inner voice that was telling her what to do, and that's a very human thing. And I think that's why the episode was called The Bicameral Mind, because it got into that.
What's the bicameral mind?
Well, it was the theory that was talked about very early in the season about how when humans evolved and voice evolved, speaking evolved, I don't even know. I can't explain the bicameral mind, but it has to do with the evolution of free thinking and inner voices and that sort of thing.
No, I think you were right there. I think you just about had it. That's, if I remember right, that's what it is. It's, yeah, as language evolved, we began being able to talk to ourselves. Mm-hmm. And we sort of have this ability, when you can talk to yourself and have an inner dialogue, you have an ability to look at yourself in the mirror, basically. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's looking at yourself in the reflection of a calm body of water or something like that. Mm-hmm. It's yourself looking at yourself. It's a snake eating its tail. It's unexplainable, basically.
Yeah.
Well, it's like infinite. Yourself looking at yourself is a snake eating its tail.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? That's consciousness. Mm-hmm. That is consciousness. And so that's the bicameral mind, or maybe that's the theory of how consciousness, modern consciousness as we know it, came to be, or a theory, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I guess I agree that maybe the delivery of it was a little cheesy with her looking at herself literally. But
well, it was such a slow reveal. Who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be?
Well, we knew who it was gonna be.
I mean, you did, but at the same time, you didn't really I didn't really put together what that meant until later.
I knew it in the previous episode when, like I said, when Arnold says to her, you know, you're not looking for me. Do you know who you're looking for? And I knew he meant she was looking for herself, her own. She was trying to find her own voice, who she was. And that's what it means to be alive and to be conscious. So anyways, next question. Did I ask this already? Who is Arnold? Yeah, we said he is Bernard.
No, basically. You didn't ask it, but it was answered in the last episode or the episode before? Last episode, where we discovered that, and many people theorize this too, that Arnold or Bernard was modeled after Arnold. So
right.
Same person.
Yeah, can you give us a little more of the detail about that, about his story that we got in the finale of, like, you know, how Arnold came, or how Bernard came to be?
I mean,
am I putting you on the spot too much there?
I don't think they addressed that so much in this episode. That was last week's episode, huh?
Oh, maybe it was.
Last week's episode just kind of threw me for a loop, and I just kind of wanted to back off until I saw the finale. But
right. Well, I'll do my best here, but basically, so Arnold was a real man. He was Ford's partner. He helped program and design and build Westworld and the hosts therein, and he was a genius coder and all this stuff. And ultimately, Arnold and Ford have a disagreement about whether the hosts can even achieve consciousness and whether they should. I suppose there's a philosophical argument in there. And ultimately, Arnold decides to kill himself. Is that right?
Yeah.
But he doesn't do it through his own hand. He must have some sort of moral dilemma there.
I'm not sure. Guess. It's the same thing. If you program Dolores to do it, you're essentially doing it yourself anyway.
Yeah, so him and Ford went out the same way, basically.
Exactly the same way.
But essentially, he's killing himself.
Yeah.
You know.
You think that's what Ford had planned too? I believe Ford killed himself too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's the same exact thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's debatable whether or not it's actually suicide but I mean, it's basically suicide.
Well, and the poetic thing about it is that Bernard or Arnold did it before Dolores actually achieved consciousness, but Ford completes the loop by doing it right at the moment she's achieved consciousness, and then that sets in motion the revolution.
Yeah. Oh, very good point. Yeah, the timing of it's a little
Cute.
much more meaningful, I guess, in a way.
Hmm.
So
But
yeah,
yeah, as far as Arnold, Arnold was a real person who didn't want the park to open because he didn't want these humans, because he knew that he believed that they were on the level of humanity. He didn't want them to be stuck in such a place. But Ford didn't see it that way. He wanted his stories to be put out there because he believed there was good they could bring the world. But really, it just made people bad.
yeah. All right. So yeah, so Arnold kills himself essentially. And Bernard is modeled after Arnold. What's different about Bernard? Is he basically just a replica of Arnold?
Yeah, because you have the, excuse me, that moment where Ford is even teaching him how he holds his glasses and like what he does with his glasses when he's
Yeah,
thinking.
I loved that. I loved
And so
that.
I think he's very much modeled after. He's like an Arnold that Ford can control and have do all his dirty work for him, and an Arnold that he doesn't disagree with.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty much it. He's a host. He looks and behaves like Arnold, but ultimately he just does what Ford wants him to do. That's Bernard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until the end, last episode. But
Right.
really, that's what Ford wanted anyway. So I can get caught in a reasoning loop here. So I'm just going to
Yeah.
stop.
Okay. Well, that's a pretty good explanation, I think, of who Arnold is. We certainly got most of the answers we needed around that question. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot more to delve into, I'm sure, but I'm
That's
satisfied.
what next season's for.
And yeah, let me just say before I forget how I'm still blown away that how much this show is willing to give us like right away. Like in one season, they set up all these mysteries, and it was so well rounded. I mean, they
Mm-hmm.
actually came full circle with everything. Every
Mm-hmm.
mystery we got, like the season itself stands on its own. Like the show could be over now.
Yeah, this is
Like,
like an open-ended story, like one of those Edgar Allan Poe stories you read in high school where it ends with the ghost coming out of the woods and killing everybody. And that could just be the end of the story and it'd be a fine story. So in a way, I'm glad it didn't end on like, I mean, I guess you could call it a cliffhanger,
mm-hmm.
but really it's not as much as, if you think of the season 1 finale of Lost and how that
Yeah,
just literally left you hanging. But that wait was like 3 months, whereas they're gonna make us wait over a year to know the answer. So
yeah. And that's what's awesome though, is I don't need another season of Westworld. I'm satisfied.
right.
But I mean, I'll watch it. Like I enjoyed this season very much. I think they did an amazing job with the
Mm-hmm.
show, and
Mm-hmm.
of course I will keep watching. I'd love to see what they come up with next. And
Yeah, but the next season could be something. I mean, it could be absolutely different from this season. Like it'll explore different themes, and different ideas. Like what happens when a host does achieve consciousness? Do they just become as shitty as regular humans? Certainly
yeah,
possible.
sure.
Judging by Hector and Armistice, they're
And
straight up
not all
killing people.
humans are shitty either, because I mean,
Yeah,
you have Maeve calling, what's the Asian
Felix.
Felix? Yeah. Um, you have Maeve telling him that he makes a really shitty human being, and she means that as a compliment.
Yeah, so that's she thinks that most human
Most humans
beings are shitty too,
are
and
shitty
the good
anyways.
ones are rare.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Makes sense. I like it. Um, Next question, Catie. Help me out here. I know you're a genius. So, um, what are reveries?
reveries are the little memories that were programmed into the hosts, right? And that
Yes.
the reveries eventually led to their waking up.
Okay.
Memories lead to consciousness, and all the memories were tied to sadness and despair, and that's what caused, um, at least the beginnings of the glitches and the consciousness in the hosts, right?
That's I think that's about right. So in some way, reveries are sort of does it tie into that idea of there are stories we tell ourselves about who we are that gives us an identity. Is that part of it, or is that just something
I
else?
feel like the stories we tell ourselves are the
That's related.
opposite.
Well, that's related. Well, that's related to memories, isn't it?
But the
Memories of what's
story we
happened.
tell ourselves is what we decide we want our story to be. Whereas I feel like the reveries are an indication of who the hosts really are.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like the stories we tell ourselves is like Maeve saying that she came here from New Orleans and she's been the madam for a year, because that's what she's been programmed to say. Whereas
Sure.
the reveries are her like remembering her child being shot, or that's what it's connected to. So I feel like those are two different ideas.
Okay. No, that makes sense. And then, so I also have this idea in my head of reveries being like these little nuances that make a robot seem human, or
Mm-hmm.
like adding humanity to an inanimate object. Like Bernard wiping his glasses the way Arnold did.
Mm-hmm.
Like, wasn't that mentioned as being a reverie, or is that
I don't
something different?
remember how exactly. I just saw him teaching him that, and I don't know if that was a reverie or not. I think the reverie was just a tip off to um, just remembering, because reverie is a word for dream
Right.
too. And that's kind of how Maeve started to remember, were these dream type things that she was having. And I don't know. That's the connection that I make. But
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe I think you are more equipped than I am to answer this question fully, but I don't think I am ready to answer that question. I'm going to have to research that one a little more.
the reverie one,
Yeah, after this is over, because I'm not
okay.
quite satisfied. But
With my explanation, did I not
yeah,
explain it well
you
enough?
you you're fired. You're fired. I'm just kidding. I appreciate it. Um, let's go on to another question. Um, well, who is the man in black ultimately?
Yeah, we called that one a while ago. I think everybody did.
Yeah.
But did that detract from the reveal?
A little bit. Yeah. It was a little bit of
But don't I feel like it's one of those mysteries though that they wanted you to see. They wanted you to pick up what they were laying down. And there were just every episode, starting from like maybe the second or third episode on, there was a clue in there to give you that, to help you make that connection. And I think that's because the show doesn't underestimate the intelligence of its viewers. And
Mhm.
when you see that coming, you can kind of make those connections as you go along rather than just be kind of blown away when it does happen. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah, no, it was good. I wasn't really on board with that theory until I think our last podcast a few episodes ago. I might have said,
You
yeah,
just weren't on board because you didn't think they looked alike.
I think that was my reasoning. And then the week after we did that podcast, I saw someone talk about how their knives were exactly the same, and that's when
Yeah, and they showed that knife a lot.
and that was the one that I was like, yeah, okay, that's definitely what it is then, because
Yeah,
there's just no way around that one. But yeah, so ultimately the MIB is William.
that's
Um,
correct.
and can you give us a little bit of William's story, like how he got to where he is, how he became this person?
Well, it's funny because he was on to the right thing. Like he was on the right track. Like he was on the
Believing that,
same level as Arnold. Like she was almost conscious, but not conscious enough to actually be real. And he was right in that she was different. She was waking up, but it took 35 years to happen. And so when he saw her again after what he had gone through, you know, going full, I don't even know.
crazy
I mean,
person,
what?
crazy person.
Yeah, when he like dismembered all those hosts and then made, and you also see it's little things like this, how he tied Logan's hands up and pulled him along on his horse. That's what he did with Lawrence. I mean, you could just kind of have to
Put the
make
pieces
those
together.
connections. Yeah, like he's doing the same thing to Logan that he did in the first episode with Lawrence, you know? So it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, those little clues are peppered throughout. But I'm not sure where I was going with that.
Real
Just that
quick.
Dolores broke him,
Sorry.
basically.
Yeah, and before I forget, like I just think it's an amazing symbol here, with how William changes his mind about Dolores's consciousness, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like, so basically Logan like cuts her open, and he's like, look inside, look at the guts, like look at this physical body, and he's like, look at that, and that sort of jars him, and he's like, oh, okay, you're right, it's just a robot.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I see like this symbol for like people who have a tough time believing in spirituality of any kind,
Mm-hmm.
and very very scientific logical minds. Like sort of all it takes for them sometimes is you're like, look at the guts inside, we're just machines,
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing more to it.
Mm-hmm.
um Even though they were on the cusp of seeing something bigger, like, what is consciousness and what is spirituality, maybe there's something deeper going on there.
Yeah, but that didn't stop William from still going after her.
I thought that's what led William. Oh, I guess you're right.
No, he showed him the guts, and then he pretended to make nice with Logan, and then they went to bed, and he destroyed the entire camp, and then made Logan his bitch, and then went all the way to the ends of Westworld to find her, and then he didn't see her again until she was back in Sweetwater, just acting like nothing had happened, and that's the moment that broke him.
You're right. He did still go after her. I forgot that, but I don't know. I guess still that moment, sort of, that's when he flipped shit and started killing everybody. So
Yeah, I mean, it's. I can see your metaphor and how sometimes you can show the facts right to somebody's face, and if they don't want to believe it, they're not going to believe it. You know what I mean?
hmm
So maybe
yeah,
the opposite of what you were saying, but still, like,
no, I just thought of that in the moment and I went with it,
mhm,
and maybe it wasn't fully fleshed out, but
right? No,
no,
I see it.
I feel like there might be some symbolism there. I don't know.
So, what do you think? I mean, William got shot, right?
Yeah, at the
At the
end.
end. So, do you think he'll be back? Is he okay? What's his role? I mean, he seemed very pleased that the
Yeah.
hosts were revolting.
Yeah, I don't
So,
know if
what is
we'll see him come back again, but yeah, I think all they really wanted to portray was that, yeah, this is exactly what he wanted. This is what he had been fighting for. He wanted to see the hosts achieve consciousness, or he wanted to
Mhm.
see them. Well, what he really wanted in the park to see happen in the park was that he wanted to see them fight back.
Yeah, and we talked about that in one of our earlier podcasts, how he wanted there to be more danger. Like, it needs to be harder. This game needs to be
Yeah.
harder. And
Yeah.
that's now it is. And so now he's happy. He's
Yeah.
already been shot. So
This
now
is
what's he
exactly
gonna
what he
do?
wants. Yeah. If my gut says that he will be back, and
Mhm.
it'll be awesome because he now has the challenge he wants, and he is going to be able to rise to the challenge, and he is still going to be a villain.
Yeah.
But
Well,
but,
he's
but this is the game he signed up for.
I mean, the board is gonna be dead, and who the hell are they gonna get to invest in this place now? But the majority stock shareholder, who is William, is probably going to be even more into it now than he was before. So he's going to keep funneling money into it. But who's going to want to visit it is the thing.
Yeah, I don't.
It's going to shut down like Jurassic Park did. But perhaps William is going to be able to keep the hosts alive.
Yeah, and I think you will see other people want to come participate in like this ultimate Wild West, like where the stakes are really high, though. Like you actually can get killed. Like there are people in this world who would sign up for that.
You know, I wouldn't want to be their marketing director after this shitstorm goes down.
Yeah. And you brought up a good point there too, that the park is going to be in trouble because, I mean, we have lost Ford and Arnold and a lot of the engineers, and so who is going to take care of the hosts?
Who's going to write the stories? Well, if they don't need stories anymore, you don't need a story writer.
Or is that ultimately the point, is that Ford has made it so that this world is just like the real world, where you only get one shot and
then you're dead?
And then you're dead. So you don't get to be brought back to life by engineers this time.
But don't you think that that Ford's going to, not Ford, that William is going to be able to find a way to, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess
he wants there to be stakes for humans. Does he want the host to have the same stakes? Like once they die, they're dead too?
I don't know. It seems only fair.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess if you want to be a human, that's one of the things that comes along with it.
Yeah, death. That's a good point. But I mean, yeah, I guess if he wanted stakes like that, if that's what he wanted, why wouldn't he just go out in the real world and live life?
Start shooting people?
Start shooting people. Because I mean, what's the difference?
Because then he just immediately go to jail. Yeah, like in Westworld, it's like this. It's a video game. It's a video game come to life. But in a video game, you get to like push save and you're reborn and stuff, and that's not even good enough for him. So it's like a video game. It's like Mario. Like once you die, you have to go all the way back to the beginning, or you just
for the hosts.
For the hosts.
Yeah, but now that the host can fight back and kill you, it's like he gets to participate in the video game where the stakes are as high as they get, and that's what ultimately is going to be fun for him. Because, I mean, he doesn't see the point in just like, he doesn't care if he dies. I mean, he's going to get that rush, the thrill of playing the video game with the high stakes. Yeah. So I think maybe Bernard could help bring these hosts back to life if need be.
Well, yeah, we saw that there's a bunch of mold. I mean, they all have their own molds. Like you can just make a new, and all you need is their programming and you just upload it to their whatever. So I don't see if the headquarters are still online, they're going to have to find a bunch of new engineers because Hector and Armistice pretty much killed all of them.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, is where are they going to find engineers to do it? I mean, Bernard can't do it all himself, so.
No, and Elsie's gone. They need to find Elsie. They never told us really what happened to her.
He choked her out. I know that much.
Yeah, but that was kind of vague.
She's probably dead.
A little bit vague. Well, I'm not officially bought into that yet.
I could see her just being dead because she wasn't that big of a character.
She kind of was at the beginning.
But
and then she disappeared. That's the only reason she hasn't been a big character lately.
Yeah, but why bring her back even, you know?
Because she brought some levity to a very serious show.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, maybe she is alive. I don't know. Why? I don't see why Ford would choke her out, have her choked out.
Well, perhaps Ford implanted that memory into Bernard, and it wasn't even a real memory.
That's true, but why would he keep her alive? Why would Ford keep her alive when he would kill?
Because he knew that there was going to be a massacre of all the engineers, and they're going to need more.
I guess that's possible.
Sorry. Yeah, throwing stuff out.
Yeah, that's cool. I think we covered this question. What does the William/Man in Black, what does he really want?
Yeah, I think we covered that.
He wants the game.
Yeah.
He wants an intense, real game. I don't know. I'm running out of questions. What were some of the big questions from the start of the show that have sort of been answered?
Well, the Wyatt thing, we were wondering who Wyatt was, and now we know that Wyatt was Dolores all along, which I think some people guessed. I didn't. I was so confused because every time they showed Teddy and Wyatt together, they showed this dude in a Civil War outfit with his beard, and I was like, that's Wyatt. How come everybody says we've never seen Wyatt? He's right there. But he was just a stand-in, I guess. Maybe most people picked up on that, but I was very confused. I thought that's who Wyatt was, but it makes a lot more sense that it was Dolores.
I'm going to be perfectly honest. I didn't catch that Wyatt is Dolores. So if you want to explain that to me, that would be great.
Well, when Bernard, God damn it, Arnold, when Arnold designed his test, the maze is like a Turing test, a test of consciousness for his hosts. And Dolores was like his special pet host. She was the one he knew could achieve it if any of them could. And she got so close that he was like, okay, these people are basically human. The park has to be destroyed and they need to all be killed. And so he set Dolores up to massacre all the hosts. So that's why all the hosts were together in that little town learning to dance and learning to do that stuff because the park hadn't opened yet. And that is when Dolores, they uploaded the Wyatt narrative into Dolores and she became Wyatt and she killed all the hosts and she was able to get Teddy to help her do it because Teddy was her little puppy dog. So that's why he was there helping kill people. And then she killed Arnold and then she killed Teddy.
Okay.
As Wyatt.
That works for me. I guess I just didn't catch that like Dolores was Wyatt. I thought Wyatt was still like coming in the season 2 somehow. But
no, Wyatt was just a narrative and they never, and I think that's why, because Ford mentioned Wyatt again to Teddy in one of the early episodes. And that's what led Teddy to start kind of remembering too, because Wyatt, he was there when Wyatt killed everybody.
All right. That's great. Good stuff, Catie. I'm glad you get this stuff. Okay, so tell me about Maeve. So at the end of the finale here, Maeve is going back. Is that right? She thinks of her daughter and she wants to go back into Westworld and find her. Is that what I'm getting?
Yeah, and that's what I don't get. Like, she was programmed to escape. We learned that this whole escape narrative had been programmed into her. But then when she got off the train to find her daughter, was that programmed into her, or is that her diverting away from the plan to go find whoever her daughter is?
To me, that is her sort of achieving consciousness finally. That's her finally breaking away from what she was programmed to do. I think you're right. She was programmed to escape. I mean, they showed it in the code and everything. It's written in there, escape, you know? Mm-hmm. So she's been programmed to escape and all of that was part of it. And sort of when she decides to go back for her daughter, that's breaking the script and making decisions on her own. So that's achieving consciousness, essentially.
Yeah. So that was cool in a way that she broke away from her script, but at the same time, I really wanted her to get into the outside world so we could see what we're working with. Because we don't know if it's on another planet, if it's in another universe, country, future, past. We don't know. So
yeah, and I don't need to know necessarily. I mean, if they
think curious,
yeah, I mean, obviously you're going to be curious, but if they think it's necessary in the story to that's part of it, it's important to the story, then we'll get that. But I don't, as of right now, it doesn't seem to matter the setting outside. You know?
Yeah,
but,
that's true.
Maybe we'll get that if it becomes important, you know?
I'm sure we will at some point.
Any other questions you can think of that have been kind of floating there since the start of season 1, and now we've kind of got our heads wrapped around it? The church? What's the church?
How was the end of the maze where she went down to talk to?
That's the center of the maze, and
so,
yeah. I like how he talked about how if you in a maze, if you get lost toward the edges, or mm-hmm. he drew that pyramid, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, he had it all wrong because he thought, you know, you had to get to the end of the pyramid or whatever, or climb to the top, but he had it wrong. It was more like a circle.
Mm-hmm.
And the real goal is to get to the center, which is, you know, self-identification.
Journey inward, he said.
Yes. It's beautiful. Just a beautiful symbol. Mm-hmm. I love it. And also like how he said, you know, drifting to the outsides of the maze is like
drives you nuts.
Descending into madness, mm-hmm. which is, I loved that. I thought that was fantastic.
Which is true. Have you ever tried to do a maze and you just get stuck out at the edges? That drives you nuts.
Never happens to me. You know,
you need to do more mazes.
Yeah, I always just do the easy ones, but Anyways, so yeah, the church is sort of like literally at the center of the maze then.
Yeah. Yeah.
And um what's inside? There's like an elevator, right?
Yeah,
And it
there's an
goes
elevator in the confessional. I mean, the church was there before the park opened, and that was the site of the massacre, the Wyatt massacre. And
right.
so they kind of covered that with sand and kind of buried that place. And so when Ford sees that steeple buried in the sand in one of the first episodes, he realizes it's time to, like, the end is near. Dolores is reaching consciousness. This is all going to go full circle. And that's the town of Escalante where the story ends. The season 1 story ends. They unbury it. That's where the gala is. And now we have another massacre there. And Dolores is no longer Wyatt, but she is herself. She is Dolores.
Right.
But
Okay.
killing people all the same.
Yeah. To be clear, because I'm not sure if I caught this or not, are the people that Dolores is killing in the first massacre as Wyatt, are those humans or hosts?
No, she was programmed to kill all the hosts.
All the hosts. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that this, but the second time, the most recent, the present moment, they're basically killing people because
she is murdering humans. That's correct.
Okay. Just making sure I got that right. Okay.
Not just any humans, the board members, very rich, important humans.
Right. Killing them all. That's great.
I don't think she got Charlotte, though.
Yeah, I didn't see her go down. I was going to ask you if I missed that or something.
No, I think she's all right for now.
Okay. Any other questions you can think of?
So are Hector and Armistice okay? Like, it looked like Hector was going to go down in a blaze of glory. However, if you go to the Westworld website, because this all season they've had a fake Westworld website where you could like plan your trip and all this stuff. Now it's like been taken over, and you can ask it all these questions and stuff. And if you ask about Hector and Armistice, it says that they're still alive and they've done some really not great things to the headquarters. So that seems to imply that Hector's okay and Armistice is okay, even though she had to cut her arm off. But they're wreaking havoc still at the Mesa.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and I think ultimately they can be revived. You don't have to worry about you don't have to worry about the hosts as much,
True.
Because they can be just brought back to life. So
that's good.
Yeah. I don't know, Catie. I'm running out of stuff here.
Yeah, I mean, we hit all the big points.
Yeah, we tried.
I mean, you could debate, you could talk about the philosophy of what this show means, but that might be a separate podcast. And this is going to be a very long off season. So I think, maybe we'll do a rewatch at some point and talk about the more philosophical points. But as of right now, it's just, if we're just talking about questions, they did a really good job of answering most of them. Yeah. Except what happened to the security guy.
Security guy. Which security guy?
Stubbs. Ashley Stubbs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that is the one lingering mystery, isn't it? He
just didn't say.
He got
Ghost Nation?
Tackled by Ghost Nation, and then they never finished that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be damned. Okay, there's one lingering, one cliffhanger, and it's a
Hemsworth brother.
It's a Hemsworth.
The Dangling Hemsworth.
The Dangling Hemsworth. Yeah, so no, I agree that it would be really fun if we can find time, which is difficult, but maybe we can make time.
We have like a year. We have over a year.
Yeah, we'll do a rewatch and we'll do some Westworld philosophy, because there's so many different themes you could dive into, and I think that'd be fun. So
yeah, and I think there's a lot of philosophy driving this show, and you don't always see it on the first go round, like what they're getting at and what some things symbolize. But I mean, you can already kind of sense it. So on a rewatch, I imagine it's pretty it'll jump out at us, I think.
Yeah. And that's the thing about symbolism in art, is you don't always have to be on the nose with what the creators intended you to see there. That's great art leaves things up to interpretation sometimes. And
Yeah,
so
you just got to listen to your own inner voice telling you what you want to see
yeah,
when you
so
read something.
exactly.
It's part of being
So
human.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think this show has a lot of that. Sometimes I'm onto something when I think of things like that, and sometimes, it's just me. But
Just a dead end.
I do like that the show, stirs up some of these philosophical ideas. It's fun for me. I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah. No, Lost was the same kind of way.
Mhm.
And even Game of Thrones to some extent, but that's kind of more of a straightforward story. It's
Sure,
not a journey inward per se,
not so much.
but it's a good journey all the
It's
same
a good show. It's a fun ride.
most of the time.
Yeah. Anyways, that'll do it for this podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I know we might have struggled to answer some of these questions, but I mean, this show is like, it makes your brain wrap up into a pretzel.
Yeah, it's
So
probably the most cerebral show I've
ever.
ever watched.
Did you ever watch
So
Battlestar Galactica?
I did. Well, funny story about that. I watched that whole series. Still haven't seen the last 10 episodes.
I think I
No idea
finished
how
it.
it ends.
I'm pretty sure I finished it. And the ending isn't anything special or anything. You haven't
No.
missed much.
Shows struggle, But no,
Yeah.
I enjoyed that show when it was on, but gosh, that's been a long time now.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of parallels, I think, between Battlestar
Yeah,
Galactica
with
and
Cylons and hosts. Yeah, it's a
yeah,
similar
like they don't
narrative
know they're Cylons, all that stuff.
until they
Yeah.
hear all along the Watchtower. Then they
Oh yeah,
do.
that's right. Real quick, that reminded me of the funniest part of the finale was when, Felix, is that his name?
Felix, yeah.
Yeah,
He
he
finds
starts.
out Bernard is a host.
Yeah, and he starts looking at his hands like all creeped
It's
out.
not even that. He almost does the robot. He kind of goes
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. And you're
And,
like, oh.
and Maeve's like, for fuck's sake, you're not one of us.
But that's the funny thing is, before he did that, I was thinking the same thing. I would be like, if I just found that out, I would be questioning this same thing. So
Yeah, I mean,
but
it was
they
a
delivered it in a funny way.
really well executed moment.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It was very funny. And that comes back to something we've talked about all season, how like let's keep the levity in the show as well, because it can't just be violent, gory, anxiety inducing,
Walking Dead.
so deep that we can't even think straight. It's got to have some levity too, I think, to make it a well-rounded show, and I think for the most part it's had that. So
Yeah, there was another part that made me laugh out loud too. Right now I can't remember what it is because it was so overshadowed by the Felix moment, but I'll watch it again.
yeah,
Figure it out.
yeah, we got to stop doing this, Catie, where we end the episode and then we talk more.
Yeah, sorry.
Because you're probably gonna have someone out there who like turns it off, right
It's
as
okay.
we're wrapping
Of
up.
the 28 people who end up watching these, they'll probably appreciate the
sweet
nugget.
nuggets. These sweet nuggets. All right.
It's incentive to watch the whole thing.
Sure. Yeah. All right. Well, that'll do it. Actually, that will do it for this episode of TV is Our Real Mom. Just want to say thank you for listening, and we will see you guys soon. Anything else we're going to podcast about that of, Catie, coming up? Maybe Alone?
Well, we've got the Survivor finales coming up, so just a few more Survivor podcasts. But if you like Survivor, Alone starts this Thursday, and we're going to start podcasting about that one as too. And maybe we'll get more into that on the Survivor podcast, because I think those shows are a lot more similar than maybe Westworld and Alone. But
for sure, yeah, and there's not as much to explore because there's
of course not.
There's no game, being played or anything. It's not like, doesn't have that sports analysis kind of feel to it.
Right.
It's more just like let's talk about it because it's a fun show.
It's a very fun show, but there's philosophy in that show as well.
Oh, yeah. We'll probably dig into some of that for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. See you guys next time.
Adios.
Bye.